For those of you that don't know, or if you came across the story earlier today, George Stephanopoulos, George Snuffleupagus, his big mouth got ABC into some trouble. So basically, there was a show that he did with who was on the show? Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace was on his show. And he was basically trying to call out Trump for, you know, one of these cases that he was found liable for in civil court. In fact, I got the video for you. I'll just play the video so you can see what George Stephanopoulos did to get into the hot water that he's gotten himself into.
I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
And I answered it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. This was a civil court. It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
I'm asking you about the man
as a rape victim who's been shamed for years now because of her rape, you're trying to shame me again by asking me this political question.
You've repeated that again.
I think it's offensive. As a woman, I find it offensive. For my political choices, I've endorsed the man that I believe is best for our country. It's not Joe Biden. And you looked at the dueling rallies yesterday in Georgia. Laken Riley's family was with Donald Trump. They weren't with Joe Biden. The same guy yesterday that apologized for calling her killer an illegal, who was an illegal. And here you are trying to shame a rape victim. I find it disgusting.
I mean, you keep saying I'm shaming you.
You are. The question, it is.
How is the question asking you about a presidential candidate who's
You're asking a rape victim.
And there's no question about that. And you've courageously talked about that.
Because I've been raped. I think that's disgusting.
No, I'm questioning your political choices because you're supporting
me. You're
someone who's been found liable for rape. Actually, I'm not trying to shame you.
You are. That's exactly
what you're doing. You're not answering the question.
I think it's disgusting.
Now, here's the funny thing. Nancy Mace knows what she's doing. She's actually playing the same game with George Stephanopoulos that they try to play with the right. You feel me?
Also, you have to answer the question. Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable for rape?
I just answered your question.
What is the answer?
He was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was sexual abuse. It wasn't actually rape, by the way. And E. Jean Carroll joked about all the money she's going to get and made a mockery out of this case. And I think that's offensive. There's a reason why women don't come forward. And when you have someone who says that they're raped and they make a mockery out of this civil court judgment, it's offensive to other women. It makes it harder for other women to come forward when another woman has made a mockery of it.
You said women don't come forward because they are afraid. They are afraid because they are defamed by those who
you're trying to shame me this morning.
They are afraid to come forward, as you said, because they are defamed by those who commit the rape. That's what Donald Trump has been found guilty of doing.
He defended himself over that and denies that it ever happened, but he was not found guilty in a criminal.
She's 100% right. Donald Trump was not found guilty in a court of law for that, right? He was found civilly liable for sexual abuse, whatever that means. And the lady that won the money was actually joking about how she was going to spend the money. I think it was like $83 million or something like that. So, you know, George Stephanopoulos, because he cannot stand Trump, he hates Trump. Like he despises Trump. He decided to jump up there and virtue signal and try to accuse Trump of all of these things. And Trump sued the crap out of them. Sued the crap out of them.
We have breaking news. ABC News and George Stephanopoulos have reached a settlement with President-elect Trump in his defamation lawsuit. The network agrees to pay $15 million as a charitable contribution to Trump's presidential library. ABC and Stephanopoulos will also issue statements of regret as an editor's note to the March 2024 article and television segment.
Statements of regret. You mean an apology? You see how this is why I say Fox is the ops too, because they try to make it seem like it's something that it's not. It's an apology. They have to apologize to Trump.
That prompted Trump to file the lawsuit earlier this year. Trump sued Stephanopoulos after he asserted in an interview that Trump was found, quote, liable for rape in a civil case, despite the fact that a jury actually determined Trump was liable for, quote, sexual abuse, which has a distinct definition.
Me personally, I think that Trump, and it's just me, I don't think that Trump should have settled. I think he should have took them to the cleaners. But here's the interesting thing about this. How is this going to work now that old Georgie boy, has cost the network $15 million? How does that work? How does that work? Does that work like, oh, George, we're going to take this out of your salary? Like, how does that work? And why would they keep him on after he's cost them money like that? And I'm glad this happened, because it gives an opportunity to set a precedence, because a lot of people get up there and they say wild stuff about Trump. And I was sitting there thinking, like, how are they getting away with saying the stuff they're saying about Trump? Like, why haven't they been sued yet, right? So, says George Stephanopoulos and ABC apologized to Trump, are forced to pay $15 million to settle defamation suit. That's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt. ABC News and its top anchor, George Stephanopoulos, have reached a settlement with Donald Trump in his defamation suit, which will result in the news network paying the president-elect $15 million. That's gotta hurt, considering their ratings are in the crapper, right? The settlement was publicly filed on Saturday, revealing that the two parties have come to an agreement and avoided a costly trial. According to the settlement, ABC News will pay $15 million as a charitable contribution to a presidential foundation and museum to be established by or for plaintiff, as President of the United States of America have established in the past. Additionally, the network will pay $1 million to Trump's attorney fees. Stephanopoulos and ABC News also had to issue statements of regret as an editor's note at the bottom of a March 10th, 2024 online article about comments made earlier this year that prompted Trump to file the defamation lawsuit. The note reads, ABC News and George Stephanopoulos regret statements regarding President J. Trump made during an interview by George Stephanopoulos with Representative Nancy Mace on ABC's This Week on March 10th, 2024. And there's the lawsuit right there. See, this is what happened when you run your mouth, and you ain't supposed to be running your mouth like that. ABC News said the network was pleased to have concluded the case. We are pleased that the parties have reached an agreement to dismiss the lawsuit on the terms in the court filing, an ABC News spokesman told Fox News Digital. Trump filed a defamation suit against Stephanopoulos after he asserted that Trump was found liable for the R word in a civil case during a contentious interview with Representative Nancy Mace, Republican from South Carolina, last March. After playing a clip of Mace discussing being a victim of you-know-what, Stephanopoulos asked her, how do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw? Oh, that is, You're a scumbag for that, George Stephanopoulos. I didn't see that part. So basically, he showed a clip of Nancy Mace talking about what she experienced when it happened to her, and then going to try to say to her, how could you endorse somebody that did XYZ? Wow. Really, bruh? You've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for you know what and for defaming the victim of that you know what, Stephanopoulos said, alluding to the legal victory by Trump accuser E. Jean Carroll. Stephanopoulos repeated that claim 10 times during his spat with Mace, despite the fact that a jury actually determined Trump was liable for sexual abuse, which has a distinct definition under New York law. After the federal jury found Trump liable for sexual abuse, but not the big R word, Judge Lewis Kaplan wrote in a later ruling that just because Carroll failed to prove the big R word within the meaning of the New York penal law does not mean that she failed to prove that Mr. Trump, you know whated her, as many people commonly understand the word you know what. Bruh, the level of which they hate Trump is amazing to me. Initially, Stephanopoulos was defiant in the face of Trump's lawsuit, telling CBS late night host Stephen Colbert that he wouldn't be cowed out of doing my job because of a threat. Trump sued me because I used the word you know what, even though a judge said that that's in fact what did happen. We filed a motion to dismiss, Stephanopoulos said. How did that work out for you, Snuffleupagus? Let's see. The settlement came after U.S. Magistrate Judge Lizette M. Reed ordered Trump and Stephanopoulos on Friday to sit for depositions next week ahead of the December 24 deadline for the defendants to file a motion for summary judgment in order to avoid trial. In his lawsuit against Stephanopoulos and ABC, Trump was represented by Florida attorneys Alejandro Brito and Richard Klug. The settlement with ABC was filed in the Southern District of Florida federal court, where both parties signed and agreed to the terms. Stephanopoulos. The settlement comes after a string of legal victories for Trump and his legal team, coordinated by senior legal advisor Boris Estin. I don't know how to pronounce that. Federal Judge Tanya Chutkan recently granted special counsel Jack Smith recent request to dismiss his case against Trump related to the 2020 election. Smith also tossed his appeal in the classified records case on Monday after a federal judge dismissed the charges altogether in July, ruling that he was unlawfully appointed as special counsel. I told y'all that, right? In New York v. Trump, Judge Juan Merchan granted Trump's request to file a motion to dismiss the charges stemming from Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's case and remove the sentencing date from the president-elect from the schedule. Trump is also suing CBS News for $10 million in damages, stating the network practiced deceptive conduct for the purpose of election interference in its interview in October with Vice President Kamala Harris. Yeah, I want to see how that particular case is going to pan out.